Hello, everyone. We're going to kick off the webinar. My name is Gustavo Razzetti. I'm going to be your host today. Thank you for joining the Elevating Workplace Culture with AI webinar. We have a lot of things to share and address today. And first of all, I want to once again welcome you. And I'd like to invite you to share using the chat where you're joining us from. I'm based in Chicago. It's sunny Chicago. I'm happy because after weeks of really, really bad weather, now we're having a nice, beautiful sunny day in Chicago. What about you? Where are you joining us from? Use the chat and let us know where you're based, where in the country. Usually we have people from all over the world, which is fantastic to be part of a global community. Chat is disabled. That's weird. Let me see if I can fix that. I'm going to do a quick introduction and set up the stage where we're here. My name once again is Gustavo Razzetti. I'm the CEO and founder of Fearless Culture. We're a culture design consultancy based in Chicago, but we serve clients across the world. What we do is basically help facilitate courageous conversations so teams and organizations can drive cultural transformation. We work also a lot with coaches, with facilitators, not just with teams and executives. So we also equip them with different tools and the right mindsets. And that's one of the things that we're going to exactly be discussing today. How can we equip you to deal with AI in the workplace design environment? What we try to do as a consultancy since we started many years ago, almost a decade ago, is to build capacity, not dependency. Most consultancies want to create that dependency that the clients or people who are using their methodologies have to come over and over. In our case, we want to provide people with tools, with practice and the right mindsets. And that's why we do training, we run workshops, and of course, we do consulting work to achieve exactly that. What about today? So what can you expect? We're going to tackle a little bit about what's this opportunity, let's say, between human and AI collaboration and how it's going to affect the space of workplace culture. If you're a team leader, a consultant that you're helping your clients or a facilitator, we're going to cover how that could work. We're going to talk about the full potential, what's happening today, but also take some look into the future and what are the possibilities for you. And of course, one of the things we're going to unveil, if you haven't already met Gus, the AI culture coach, you're going to play with it. You're going to have a space for interaction, ask questions, and see where that takes you and how can it help you achieve more work and better work. So the first thing I want to get from you is when it comes to AI, what role does AI play in your work? So we have a survey here and hopefully it's working. How do you use it? How frequently? So you use it once a day? Is it part of your everyday work? Is it just one thing that you do and you use it occasionally? And there's some people that don't use AI at all or much of it. So let us know, please answer the questions on the poll and see what happens. I'm going to give you a couple of more seconds in case you want to share, if you haven't. Okay, here we go. We have people, a big majority that says that they use it occasionally, so rarely. And this is interesting because we did a 2 months long test with the Gas, our AI, and all the beta testers basically were in a similar place. I mean, people that use it often were a minority, and the big majority use it rarely. And that's one thing that's important about AI. There's a lot of conversation, but we're still getting started. A lot of people are adopting apps, but they're not using those as frequently as we might imagine, okay? So I don't know if we were able to fix the chat. Give it a try if you want to share some comments. And if we're not, we're going to work without it and adapt. That's part of the way we roll, okay? So thank you for participating. The thing about AI, there's a lot of conversation of AI is going to replace humans and lots of jobs are going to be replaced by technology. Well, that has been happening since the industrial era. So the more technology, the more improvement, the more tools, and now artificial intelligence that we bring to the table, well, some jobs are going to disappear, many jobs are going to disappear, and some others are going to be repurposed into something different. However, we don't know when it comes to consulting work, when it comes to leadership roles, how AI is going to affect them, at least not in the short term. But for sure, the people that can master, that are better than you using AI, for sure can replace you. So one of the things that we want to basically address today is not the fear of AI replacing people, but basically how can we become better at using it when it comes to workplace culture design, and how can we jump quickly into this basically trend. I'm testing the chat now. Let me know if you get my message, and if that's the case, we'll still have a chance for you to introduce you to the crowd and tell us where you are joining us from. That would be great. It seems that it's working. In the meantime, I'm going to continue with the presentation. So today we're going to talk about, I mean, there are many ways of implementing AI, but we're talking about AI assistants, from chatbots to more sophisticated kind of tools. And in the end, these are softwares that are designed and created to provide information, but most importantly, and that's where the opportunity lies, to perform tasks to help us improve process and also take care of some of the workflows. They use LLM, which are basically large language models. So they're processing large quantities of information and they're learning from interaction. And that's one thing that's important. When we were testing our AI solution, many people say, well, I'm not getting there. And then over time, they started realizing that the results, the engagement became better and better, because that's why the model became more robust, not because of the information that we put in, but as how that model starts to basically interact and work and learn, not only from itself and how it was trained, but also from people that are interacting. The thing about these models is that, for example, ChatGPT has become the fastest adopted app in history. But on the other hand, because it's so pervasive, it's more of a generic jack of all trades, master of none. The opportunity, and that's one of the things we want to discuss today, is that we're moving from AI assistants that are that are experts on everything, from more vertical AI assistants that are basically focusing on a particular niche. So they're experts or subject matter experts. The same way that at work, humans are basically becoming subject matter experts in one field, that's going to happen exactly with AI. So we're going to see a lot of new tools this year and next year that become more of a niche than basically mass. The evolution also, it's important to take into consideration, because we're now into the, hey, I'm going to ask some questions, I'm going to share some prompts. So a human is starting that conversation when they have a particular need, a particular challenge. However, we're going to see that the progression is when the start or the prompt of that conversation can be generated by both humans and a machine. And also the next level, when there's full autonomy, basically there's no need for human oversight, and machines prompts and basically creates lots of interactions without necessarily a human being participating there or interacting. So David Coleman, a couple of years ago, wrote that we're moving into an era where collaboration is not just human to human. Basically, for years, we were working in the workplace to, hey, how can we increase collaboration within a team, across teams? But now we also need to consider human to machine collaboration and machine to machine collaboration as part of a working culture. So not only my role is to help people and teams work better with each other, but also how they can become better to interact with machines, but also create a space in which machine-to-machine collaboration, it's also successful. And in my research, I basically uncovered three key barriers when it comes to a collaboration, whether it's within human or with machine. The first is our lack of ability to recognize that we need help. So especially people who are in a more senior position, they lack all the awareness or the intellectual humility to say, hey, I'm not perfect, I don't have all the answers, I need to ask for help. That's the best and the most critical part, no? And where collaboration usually goes to die. The second step, it's being vulnerable enough to acknowledge that I need for help and ask help to my team members or to my manager or to my direct reports. And there's two things there. On one hand, we need to be vulnerable. We need to adopt our humility to, hey, I don't know, I don't have the answer. Can you help me find it? But also learn how to be good at asking for help. Many people need help, but they don't know exactly how to put the request. And when it comes to interacting with machines, we're going to address that as well. Basically, many people are just scratching the surface because they're asking maybe or the wrong questions, or they're not providing the right context, and so on and so forth. And lastly, we need to trust those who can help. Yes, we need to trust human beings, but there's a lot of mistrust when it comes to technology. Is the information going to stay confidential? Is my manager going to be able to access it? For example, when we have meetings and we have an AI transcribing the meeting, well, is that going to be shared with people outside the room? So is this team really safe? And the conversations that used to happen in Vegas are no longer going to stay there because of lack of control of what happens with information that is processed by technology. So this takes me to another point, and I'm going to ask you to start reflecting about how you interact with the AI. There are two main teams. On the left, we have Team Center, right, in which you can see there's a combination of horse and human beings, but those two parts are well defined. And then we have the cyborg team. Well, basically, it's hard to discriminate where's the human and where's the technology because they are both, or the robot, because they both have become one. How does this affect the way we interact with technology and AI in particular? Well, Team Center is, and many of you probably are on that side because of how you answer the first question, which is they tend to define, okay, I'm an expert on this, so I'm going to take care of these tasks. And the other tasks, which I don't want to do them, or I cannot do them, or I don't have the expertise, I'm going to delegate those to AI. So it's a clear a black and white territory in which are the tasks that are within the human space and which tasks are within the AI space. Cyborgs have a much more embedded collaboration, which is hard to discriminate one and the other. So the AI and their interaction is seamless, and it has become kind of a one. So I'm going to share a quick survey here, and I want to hear from you. Which team are you on? Are you basically on a team cyber, or are you team center? Sorry for the delay. So basically, are you team center or team cyber? And you see a little bit of a description there in which of the one. And once again, there's no right or wrong. So we're not here to show, hey, I'm the. We're just trying to understand how each works. Apparently, the chat should be working. So let's give it a try. If you want to make some comments after you choose on in which camp or which team you are, let's give it a try. Hopefully it works this time. And share your feedback or comments or reflection about the choice you made, okay? So far, we have like 67 of the participants are on the center team. That's okay. That's great. And once again, as I mentioned earlier, that team tends to see AI more like a delegation. So I have some tasks that either I don't want to do them, I don't have the time, and I'm going to basically let them take care of them for me. While on the other side, basically it's more of a seamless kind of collaboration. You can see the results. There have been some updates, more participants answered. So we have 69 on the left team, the rest, the 31 remaining on the other team. Okay, so thank you for that. This somehow, sorry, connects with the survey that we run with the people that beta tested our solution. And as you can see, many people were looking for complemented, but there were a lot of people that were either looking for tips, practical tools. So basically looking for very specific answers or solutions rather than for a more open kind of interaction with AI. And that's the big point I want to make today. We need to move beyond search. So many people are still using AI like, hey, I'm like Google. I'm going to find something. They ask a question, and it's very transactional. There's nothing wrong about that. What we need to make sure is that we see what's the potential when it comes to true collaboration. So I'm going to do now, if you haven't met already, introduce you to Gus, the AI culture coach. I'm going to explain a little bit how it works, what are the benefits, and of course, I'm going to invite you to give it a try. The point about Gus, the way it was designed and trained, is not just to provide information or answer questions, but actually help you improve the company or the culture or the team culture, whether you're within the company or HR professional, a team leader, team member, or also works for consultants. It's been trained to help organizations find ways to how can we increase trust or a sense of belonging. How can I drive collaboration within my company? Well, Gus has been trained to help you with that. And lastly, how to promote courageous conversations that can drive a positive change. In terms of the training itself, many people say, hey, how do you train? Well, I spent months, so this is a month's work, and it's a never-ending job. So I'm going to continue working with Gus. Of course, there were engineers and other people involved, but when it comes to the content, when it comes to the theory, the tools, and blah, 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 I work a lot. I can tell you that Gus is hungry for content, so he's been digesting and eating everything and processing tons of information. My 4 books, thousands of articles, models, tools, videos, conferences, and research, not only from my company, but also from other organizations to make sure he becomes an expert in culture, workplace culture. We've been working hand by hand. But of course, at some point, it started to develop its own personality. No, it's not me, it's my AI version of me. And probably it's going to have better memory, and at some point it become better than me. We'll see over time. Here it's a nice snapshot. Funny that one of the beta testers shared with me. They asked Gus, are you related to Gustavo, basically me? I said, no, I'm designed to emulate his persona and expertise. We're not related traditionally, but I'm provided basically. So it's a nice kind of humorous take in terms of personality. As you can see, that's not something that I told him to do, but basically start to develop that. So I talk about beta testing and people basically, the response. That's why I decided to launch this webinar. Was really good in terms of how easy they find it to use it, the quality, and all the people that basically participate in the beta test are very senior practitioners with many decades in the field. So basically the bar was really high, and basically this is how they rated the knowledge, the insights, and so on and so forth. And then, of course, if I'm giving a webinar, I'm going to show you that everyone's saying great things. That's easy to copy, paste, or create. That's not the point. What I like about what people are saying in terms, it's not just that they like it, but basically they started seeing that this is more like just getting information. So one person was working on a workshop. They were working on designing a workshop. They started interacting with Gus, and then the answers and the feedback help that person from overcomplicated things. So it wasn't just about, hey, do this, but also challenging the individual, in this case, a facilitator. Then, on the other hand, when it comes to a team member, basically it helps a team leader, it helped not only how to find alignment, because the company is a startup, it's a fast growth startup, but also the person felt surprised because, oh, I felt acknowledged, I felt appreciated, and AI is actually giving me coaching and support, not just responding to what I need, but actually understanding and going above and beyond. Other people mentioned that Gus helped them go deep into a particular topic they were exploring, providing more resources. And lastly, which is something that I like to do in my personal practice with companies, is move beyond the symptom. So in this case, it helped rethink what's the real challenge, and of course, go deep into the root cause, not just trying to fix, like most companies do, the symptoms, okay? So one thing that's important is the more you ask, the more you're going to get. So For example, I asked Gus about what are the 4 types of company values. It gives you a very structured, good response. But then ask, okay, give me more about it. And the more you start interacting with the tool, the better it's going to become. So my invitation before I share the link so you can give it a try is we need to start thinking of AI overall, but in this tool in particular, rather than just do the work for you, like more of a, hey, I'm a manager, I'm in charge, I'm going to delegate this to AI, which is okay. I'm not saying don't do this. I'm saying you can also think about it. How can I work with you? How can Gus or any AI work with you? And start thinking more in terms of building a collaborative kind of a approach, not just a transactional approach, which is what most of us have been doing originally with AI. So in terms of that effective collaboration, basically what you need to achieve, it's important, starting with what kind of help do you need from that. So not only the challenge, right? This is what's going on, but what are you looking? Are you looking for support? Are you looking for tips? Are you looking for activities? Are you looking for Gus to challenge your idea? So I'm thinking about doing X, Y, and Z. Please challenge me. These are some important things that you need to consider when interacting with AI. And some of them are, I was reminded when writing this, when I wrote my book, Remote, Not Distant, many things that we need to take into consideration when it comes to working with people remotely. First is assume low context. So people are not there. So if I say, hey, great meeting, send me the report. Well, which meeting? So we need to be specific. We need to provide context. If we tell Gus, I have a problem with a team, I need to do this, but we don't provide what type of company is it? Is it big, small? Is it a newly formed team? What's going on? So we don't provide a little bit of context, not too much, but just a little, then we're not going to get the full benefit. AI tends to think in black and white. So if you say, oh, this is not good, they're not going to understand. You need to be very specific. So if you want a text to be shorter, you need to be, hey, do it shorter, or better indeed, give me an answer in 2 or 3 paragraphs. You can specify the kind of outcome, and that's going to help the AI provide something that's better for you. Always assume positive intent. Many times AI are great, and sometimes they come up with things that we say, what's going on? Just like people. Well, what we need to do is to don't get frustrated, and they're trying to understand, but also say, hey, was I specific enough? Do I need to become better at communicating so the other person, in this case the AI, understand what's going on? Focus on feedback. So if the response doesn't work, don't reject it. Like, what's missing? Tell, hey, this is maybe too generic. Go deep, or give me examples, or can you be more concrete on X, Y, and Z? So guide the AI so it becomes more relevant. Lastly, make sure to realize AI doesn't have emotions. I always think and ask please, because that's part of who I am. But AI is not going to give you better answers or not if you do that. But most importantly, if you talk in terms of emotions, the machine is not, at least now, able to process that, so it's not going to necessarily improve. On the other hand, it might complicate or hinder the answer. Okay, like for example, here I was interacting with AI, asking about the 4 types of culture, give me a very top line level, but I was looking for something deeper. So I said, tell me more. And of course, you cannot see the full screen. And they started going deeper into each of the 4 models of culture. So the feedback, the interaction is the most important part. Think of this as a conversation, like you're interviewing someone, and that's where you're going to get it. Okay, so enough talking. And now let's give it a try. Join, if you type on your browser, any browser, askgus.ai. So it's not .com, it's .ai. You're going to be redirected to the page in which you're going to be able, you don't need to sign in, nothing. You're going to be able to check Gus. So make sure you do that. And once you are opening in any browser, you're going to find there's some text. And on the right side, as you can see on my image, there's like a square. You can start typing messages. You can ask a question, whatever, just introduce yourself, do whatever to get acquainted with Gus. While you guys are doing that, I'm going to give you some tips for you to start thinking about what you can do in the meantime with the tool. Some people go and say, hey, write an article. So they jump into the outcome and they get frustrated because usually the first or even second iteration is not what they were looking for. Well, it's better to start with an outline, no? So maybe instead of looking for the final piece, give them give me some structure. AI, it's much better to help you find structure for a workshop, for an article, than to give you the end piece. It might help you, but start with the structure. If people have me telling, hey, I asked AI to change the culture of my company. Well, that's too generic, once again. So try to crack it in pieces. AI works better when the problems are smaller. So instead of talking about the culture as a whole, focus on one aspect. People are not collaborating. People are not doing this. So this challenge, where can I get started? So the AI is going to be more efficient when it works on smaller problems rather than bigger ones. How do I convince, or how can I convince people? No, well, instead of that, what do I need to consider when designing a workshop to achieve goal? What are you trying to achieve? You know, what are you trying to convince people about? So rather than aim for the for the final solution, start identifying the blockers. So the questions, the issues that you need to consider before you get into the solution. I need to, well, please provide ideas. AI, it's really work when you say, hey, I have this challenge or have this question, give me options. And then you can ask, hey, give me which of those options, the pros and cons of the options. And it's going to help you find that. So in different steps. So basically, work on a step-by-step process rather than just asking the question and try to find the solution in one attempt. I know that for people might be cumbersome, but that's the best way to get started. One thing that's important, hopefully you're already kind of interacting, we have a special early trial offer that I want to share with you. The price for this subscription is $19.99 a month, but we are offering a discounted price for the first 100 subscribers. So if you're interested, you can do it later. We're going to send the follow-up information, of course, the recording of this. You can go to fearlessculture.design/sign up, and you can create your account. It's a monthly subscription. You can cancel it anytime. But we're making this offer because we believe that the first people who get into it and start using it, they're going to realize and basically get all the benefits. We have a lot of people, I mentioned beta testing, that they've been using it over 2 months and they're really happy. So hopefully you can join the crowd. Now I'm going to give you more hints so you can continue interacting with Gus. There are 5 areas. Of course, we talk about finding information. I need a tool for this. I need whatever. So the tool has all my tools, all my books, all my exercise. So it's easy for you to go and find something. Of course, it's getting better. I'm continuing to train the tool. And then you can learn. So you can learn, for example, what are the different types of cultures. You can find content that you don't know. The third part, is for me where the magic happens. So think of AI as a partner in crime, your brainstorm partner, someone that you can, hey, I need ideas for this. I'm looking for this session, or I'm trying to change this, or I'm trying to start my meeting with a nice icebreaker, or I try to structure the meeting in a way that we can shorten it. Instead of a 30-minute meeting, we can do it at 15. So use it to do that. Also, AI and Gus in particular, as I mentioned earlier when I shared the feedback, it has been really effective for people. That's what people, for reflecting. So it's not just to get me the solution, but to see, am I on the right track? Am I doing the right thing? Should I need to consider something else? So basically that kind of a feedback that we need from a partner to make sure that we're on the right direction, or to challenge our ideas, or to confirm our ideas or thoughts or hints. And lastly, solve. So once again, you have a problem, you have a challenge. This is your partner to find that solution. So now I'm going to give you, probably you're familiar, you have seen some of these prompt frameworks I borrowed for other people, and others I created myself, especially the first one. And I'm going to walk you through how they work, and I'm going to give you examples. And hopefully these examples, you can go back later and watch the video again and see how you can start using this structure to become better, actually, and reap all the benefits of AI. The first one, it's a CIA, the intelligence office here in the US, challenge, impact, action. The other one is before, after bridge. I'm going to explain each of them, but the most important thing is I'm going to give you an example so you can then adapt it and start chatting with Gus using those examples, which one works for you. For whatever reason, they're not here. Oh, there you go. So one skip. So I'm going to start with CIA. So the letters stand for challenge, impact, action. So what's the challenge? What impact are you trying to create? What action do you need? So these are real adapted from real life. The leaders of a company are blaming each other, and that behavior is starting to permeate across the organization. The impact, I want them to acknowledge their blaming pattern and realize the negative impact on their teams. What's the action? Provide 5 exercises that can facilitate to increase awareness and for them to identify what's driving the blaming game. So it's a structure, as you can see, these are examples you can start. So play around, write your own, and start seeing what Gus comes up with, okay? So that's one approach, simple, very helpful for different situations when it comes to company culture. The second one, BAB, before, after. So here's where I am, here's where I see myself, and what's the bridge that's going to bring me from one to another. For example, 2 organizations have merged 28 months ago and are still seeing each other as enemies rather than they're feeling that they're part of the same company. What's the after? The leader would like to see people not only working together, but they want to find, that's the starting point. They want to find common ground, either what's our shared purpose, or maybe find a common enemy, someone that we hate, someone that we want to defeat, and that's going to bring us together. No? You know that crisis brings people together, or maybe some shared interests in 60 days. So that's the after. How we're going to create a build that bridge. We need to develop, or I want to develop, a detailed plan to work at an individual and team level to identify common ground. Please provide 3 scenarios and possibilities. So that's the bridge that you're requesting the AI to basically process and come up with solutions. The third one is RISE. So role, which role do you play? What input are you playing? What are the steps that you're looking, and what's your expectation? So I'm a culture facilitator working for a fast growth startup. I review the company values and identified a big gap between what leaders say and their action. However, the CEO is not open to the idea of revisiting core values. So provide a step-by-step guide to help them embed the values of the organization, what leaders should demonstrate, and what they need to demand from employees. The goal, that's the expectation, is to get buy-in from the CEO to bridge the gap between words and action and make her reconsider the idea that she didn't want to revisit values. So different structure, we're aiming for similar kind of approach. Once again, in this case, you're letting the AI know, like, are you a team leader? Are you a facilitator? Are you a consultant? So the role is going to help the AI understand what type of help it can provide. And lastly, care, context, what's going on, action, what you want, results, and you can give the AI an example just to help the AI, Gus, in this case, understand what you want. For example, a team has a new team leader, someone who has been promoted from within. Okay, that's always a challenge. So help me identify potential barriers that the new leaders will face. What's the goal? We want to create this new leader and position himself in a way that people are going to respect him because of the new role. However, without jeopardizing those strong relationships that people used to have with him when they were peers. So that's always a fine and critical balance. So a good example is I could run the stinky fish exercise and encourage people to talk about their anxieties and their fears, or what everyone is saying and no one is thinking. So as a way to kick off the conversation and bring that issue to the table. So once again, these are 4 prompts that you hopefully you're able to try now with Gus, or you can do it in the later. You're going to be having access almost all day for free until we close that option. So make sure if you're not using it now, that you use it later. But once again, as you can see, the more you structure, the better you plan how you want to interact, and the clearer you define what's going on, what you're trying to achieve, the better results you are gonna get. Okay, so finally, how I see the roadmap and the evolution of gas, this has to do with improving some of the conversations. Today, you can you click and you can copy paste the content and put it somewhere else. However, it's going to be able soon enough to save the conversation. And of course, I'm going to continue working, making sure that not only it's more accurate, but most importantly, that it becomes more and more helpful. The future, and this is where things are going to get interesting, is that how it can customize solutions. So at some point, the tool is going to start, because of your login, it's going to start learning about you and your needs. So it's going to start customizing and making better answers just for you. So it's going to personalize the interaction. The next level, it's building accountability. So we don't want just to help people, but we want to make sure that they are keeping themselves on track. So the AI is going to be able to keep you on your feet, like sending reminders and other kind of activities. But also, it's going to become better at challenge you to make sure that you're not solving the superficial issues, but you're going and tackling the root cause. I mentioned this to many people. We're still developing. There's going to be a corporate version of GAS. So clients that want to have their own AI, so they can feed with company content, but they don't want that to be shared, because what happens with ChatGPT, whatever you share there becomes public domain. One thing that's important, GAS is the only AI that can access to my content. So other AIs cannot read my articles, cannot read my content online, because I've so basically I blocked them. And the same approach, it's going to apply if a company wants to have their version of GAS. Of course, it's going to have all GAS knowledges and expertise, but then they can add company content, and that's going to stay within that organization. So it's not going to be shared with other companies. And lastly, the way I envision this, and of course, this is a never-ending process, is turning us into a proactive coach, not only that anticipate your need, but can automate tasks. If you're working with a team, they can send back, hey guys, you committed to doing this, have you done it? Or sending maybe more tips once a week, or sending additional exercise based on the discussion that the team had been having. So it's not just about the, once again, the human prompted interactions, but also the machine is going to be prompting action to make sure that you can get more benefit. So some of these things are going to happen in Q1, some going to happen later in the year, some maybe next year. We'll see how fast we can get there. But what I can tell you is we're just getting started. I've been working with this for many, many months. Hopefully, you're going to start seeing all the progress. Of course, the lessons from the beta testers is the people that are interacting with it sooner are the ones who are getting better benefits, because they are becoming better. So it's a two-way street. The AI is getting better, but people are getting better at interacting with GAS. So that's kind of hopefully you were able. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, it seems that we fixed it, but I haven't seen any message coming through the chat. So I assume you cannot use it, because I was planning to have some questions and stuff. If not, well, quick reminder, you can reach via email and see if I can tackle the questions. Remember, the offer, this is limited. Once it's capped, so it's not a marketing thing, but it's capped. So the tool, once it reaches 100, the price is going to go up automatically without me or anyone doing anything. So I want to keep that in mind, okay? So I'm trying to see if we can. Well, we have Anushka. Can you talk, Anushka?
Wait a minute. Yes, I
Yeah.
can.
Okay. Yeah. Great. Great to hear. Yeah. How are you?
Good, good, good. Thanks for the explanation. I've
Sure.
already tried it. I was just a very technical thing. I've suggested people use the question and answer section as a chat because the chat's not working. And so maybe that's where you can find information. I'm not sure if this is going to help you in facilitating. I was just trying to suggest that.
Yeah, I saw that.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
And you're asking questions about you want me to ask to give my experience in using in
No,
using Gus?
we are here if people have a question, so more functional questions, so to speak, that we can address.
Yeah,
Because we
I'm
have a
just
couple here.
wondering about, but it's a very it's a general issue with AI. And in any case,
Sure, shoot.
what about What about copyright?
Okay, what's the question? One of the
Well,
things with copyright, that's why I locked most of my content from being captured from AI. So the content I'm feeding the AI is protected by copyright, if you know.
okay,
And in many cases, there are companies like New York Times and whatever that are suing OpenAI and other companies because
yes,
they've been training their robots with basically private content, so to speak. And this is a huge stuff. So I have most of my content in Substack and other places, and now you have the possibility to block AI from reading your content
yes,
and using your content to train. And I think that's the new thing. And there's a lot of industries, writers, now we have musicians and many people that are suing OpenAI to protect their copyrights for that. So it's a huge issue if that's what you're
right.
talking about.
But
Yeah.
I understand that your material is copyrighted.
Yes.
Yes, okay. And people using it because they're also sharing their knowledge.
Yeah. I mean, my material is copyrighted, but I allow people who interact. You're part of one of our programs, people that join a program that use the material. So it's open, if you know what I mean.
Yes,
Yeah.
okay,
So whatever Gus tells you, you can use it. No, that doesn't have
yes,
copyright. The back end is the copyright, if you know what I mean.
yes,
Mhm.
exactly. Okay, thanks a lot.
Well, thank you. Good. If anyone has any questions, you can raise your hand like Anushka did, so we can give you the turn to chat. And I know we're running a little bit of time. We have a couple of technical difficulties. Those happen all the time. We tested, everything was working, but hello. And there's no one to blame but me, not Zoom, not Patricia. So whatever reasons I screw up somewhere. But either way, I really enjoyed being here with you guys. Hopefully you were able to take some tips and insights, but most importantly, to think about differently and how can you explore technology and AI in particular when it comes to helping your company or your clients build a better culture, hopefully a fearless one. And I would appreciate if you basically get back to me if you have questions, and hopefully you start trying us and see what happens and you can implement it. I've been using it for the past months and it has helped me a lot too. So I can attest for that. So thank you again for joining me. You're going to receive some follow-up materials, including the recording. And once again, if you have questions, that are more technical, you can reach to Patricia at help@fearlessculture.design. And if you are more, let's say, conceptual, theoretical, whatever questions that you want to debate with me about AI, Gus, and the future and how it's going to affect culture, let's chat and reach, you have my email. So thank you again. Have a great day. Looking forward to seeing you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.